when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages and sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Hello there, book clubbers. Hope you're dancing. Hope you've had a good week. I'm Jeff Cannata. I'm here with Lana Bachynski. Excuse me. Hi, Lana.
Hello. Whew, I was looking at the old Kindle this morning, and I can't believe we're already basically halfway through this book. Flying.
It's insane. It's crazy. Craziness. We got lots to get into this week. Chapters 15 and 16 of The Crippled God. Woohoo! You want some action? We got some action to talk about. But we like to start the show with a non-spoiler topic. These, in the best case, are sent in by you, our viewers, and they are sent to dlcfeedback@gmail.com. That is dlcfeedback@gmail.com. That is where this one is found. This comes from Grant. Grant writes, hello, first of all, thank you both for the pod, and congratulations on making it so close to the finish line. It's a delight every time I see a new upload. I've been watching since your Garden of the Moon videos, and have only grown to enjoy and appreciate both of your, and of course, Mr. Erikson's humorous insights and tear-jerking passage readings more and more as the chapters and books flew by. My question is, do you think more people would be drawn to reading if there were more, quote unquote, fun stories that were part of school curriculums? Or do you think that the importance of exposure to the classics outweighs this? Nearly every mandatory reading throughout my school years were extremely sad, melancholic, and oftentimes covering atrocities, which obviously need to be learned about, but I think also can create an aversion to reading. I hope this works as a non-spoiler topic. It's been something I have been pontificating for years. Thanks for your time, and thanks again for the podcast, Grant. Thank you, Grant, for sending this in. This is something we've kind of talked around a few times before, but I like this this conundrum, if you will, because I've reading over again and again these horrifying statistics about the decline in reading for pleasure, especially in young people. And, part of the motivation of doing this book club was to maybe try to do our small part in, talking about reading books and share the love of reading with, anybody that we could get to come along on the ride. And, I hear about something like half of all high school kids say they never read, which is just, makes me sick to my stomach. So, I think Grant has an interesting take on this, and I'm curious what you think, Lana. I mean, let me just say before I even throw it to you that this question sort of presupposes that the onus is on the school system to sort of create the love of reading, and I do think stuff can be done in that regard, but I think my position is that I would love for reading to be encouraged outside systemic boundaries, and we at home with parents. And one of the things that I think is true is that if you read in front of your kids will see that reading is a thing to do. They will mimic that. Mm-hmm. But setting that aside, I'm curious what you think of Grant's idea about the school curriculum in particular.
Yeah, huge plus one though. My parents seeing reading as like the reward, like a long day we all get to sit quietly and read now, is like a huge part of my life. It's interesting because I feel like we've talked about it. I don't know if we've talked about it on DLC Book Club or if we talked about it on paid DLC Wednesday show that we do, but the classics being the classics because the books were so good and so compelling. Society decided people had to read these books.
Yeah.
I'd be curious what a fun what constitutes like a fun story? Are we just talking about like light popcorn, easy to read, like reading for the sake of reading a book with
Right.
no like necessarily like deeper meaning, but something that could be meaningful to somebody still as like an enjoyment of reading? I assume that's what we're talking about, like more like a classic fantasy novel. But I feel like what is compelling and what is enjoying about and what I enjoy about reading a lot is the stakes and the drama. And sometimes, you know, reading the darkness from the safety of my couch or something like that feels like what is most compelling to me. So I think that we could do something that was like lighter and more fun as like stepping stones. I almost feel like isn't that what sort of like earlier in the curriculum is? Like when I'm in first or second grade, I'm certainly not reading Animal Farm. But by the time I get
Right.
like a little later
Right.
on in my life, those are sort of concepts are introduced as what feels like a next step of reading. And maybe there's like an in-between time where it's like, now every book that you can read as an adult is only about sadness. But I find books that have that sort of the stakes are really high like that very compelling. So I do find it's a tough one for me to answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a tough problem, but I like, you know, bending our thoughts to its solution and trying to find ways to encourage reading among particularly young people. As a father of two young kids, I can tell you just, you know, anecdotally that, you know, at the, you know, elementary school grade level, it's just read anything. They just want you to read anything, you know, read for pleasure. And here's some suggestions. My kids have a list of books, like a book challenge list, but a lot of the books on there are just, you know, fun, light reads. But they, you know, their charge is read 30 minutes a night or a day, whatever, or anything you want. And that's kind of what my position as a father of a 9 and 7-year-old is, let's just read what you like. You know, what do you like? Whatever it is, I'll get it for you. Let's do it. But I do think that what is sort of lost, or at least was for me in my experience going through school, was that notion that you're talking about, that we've talked about before, that, hey, we put these in the curriculum, these particular books, because they're the pinnacle of what we as a culture think is good writing and good literature and good experiences. And they weren't written, like, there's a kind of perceived austerity around it that I think is false. And I certainly received or intuited in some way as I was going through school that, like, oh, these are the works, right? But like, they were written to sell copies, baby. You know, like, everything you're reading was written to be popular. Like, or, you know, that it's not like they were out there trying to write this austere
niche market.
Yeah, like trying to punish you and give you homework. You know, this wasn't written to be homework. You know, To Kill a Mockingbird was written to be entertainment. You know, whatever book you want. And even, you know, I came late to absolutely loving Shakespeare, for example, as a acting student in school. But when I was first introduced to it in like 7th grade or whatever it was, I thought Shakespeare was this staid, you know, that it was a chore, that it was this kind of austere, you know, on a pedestal, never to be touched, not really even understanding that it's full of bawdy jokes and goofballery, and it's meant to entertain the groundlings,
masses,
you know. It would, so like that, there is sort of I think there could be a tweak in how things are presented to kids, in that, hey, this isn't a punishment, as you said. I think we were talking maybe before we started recording that, like, talking about reading as a punishment is hard. And even that dance that I do with my own kids is hard, because it's like, you got to read for 30 minutes a day. No. It's like, you get to read for 30 minutes. You know, that I keep telling my son, like, don't you have fun when you read? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, then why don't you want to do it? Well, it's because the lizard brain gets more immediate satisfaction from
yeah.
the flashing lights and the colorful screens. And, but I want there to be this joy in it, the joy that I find in it. I want to pass that along. So, it's hard.
Yeah. I think that the hard balance of like, what is a fun novel? I feel like that's so tough because there are different sensibilities and what people find fun in reading. If, you introduce a novel into a curriculum that is a more traditional fun story. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I can't. It's just like, it's just a fun one that's in there.
Yeah.
There's going to be some other group of kids that are not challenged by that don't find that story compelling and will fall off on the other side of thing. Like, oh, this is what reading becomes, is popcorn. Wow, that's not what I'm looking for. I guess reading's not for me. One of the things that happened in my high school that, looking back on it, I didn't think of it as like a significant thing, but the more I hear people talk about being like, yeah, there was like 2 books everybody had to read, I really value it. And I do think that, changes that we want to a school system can happen at the local level of communities and families and parents talking with their schools and making change happen. So maybe this is something that would work in your area for whoever is listening and has kids getting into high school age. But our high school, my English teacher was like, there's so many books that we're supposed to pick from. We're supposed to pick 2 books for everybody to read, but it is an impossible choice because they are all so good. And I want everybody to, first of all, know what all the books are so that you just know which ones that everybody thinks that we should be reading and choose which one you want to talk about. And so they paired everybody off and they brought in 2 of every copy of like all of those classic books from To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye, Neuromancer, Brave New World, Animal Farm, all of the classic ones that you're supposed to be reading in that time. And she had every student do a report on it in pairs. So you had to work together. You had somebody to talk about the book with and get excited about your specific book with. And then it felt like you were part of a secret club in a way of being like, nobody else is having this amazing experience that we're having. But every sort of pair felt that way about the different book that they read. And it gave such a breadth of like seeing other people's excitement for what they were reading. And I feel like that FOMO, that's a lot of times why the internet's exciting. Oh, there's people having fun over there. That's like, looks like a cool thing. I want to be a part of it. And sort of adding that level of FOMO of what's happening over there in a reading group, I think really enticed people to wanting to try other things in their own time.
Yeah. That's really cool. I like that. And, just to close this out, from my perspective, the most effective thing that I've found so far, again, not at high school age kids, but younger elementary school kids, is like you said, every night we curl into bed with my son. I read a story to my daughter, multiple, because she always wants more. And then we get into bed with my son and we have family reading time where my wife and I are on reading our books and he's reading his book and we're all sort of crammed in, sandwiched into his bed with him. And it's just like, we're all kind of quietly reading together. And, I think he values that time. And like last night he was like, I said, buddy, you gotta go read. He's like, okay, Dad, can you grab your Kindle? And, he likes the camaraderie of it. So, for what it's worth, that's been useful, but I really appreciate Grant bringing this topic up.
Yeah.
Obviously we're in no position to make any, we have no positions of power with regard to curriculums, but I do think it's something to consider and think about. And I just want people to fall in love with reading the way I have. And it has been such an enriching part of my life that I mourn its seeming loss in popular culture, or the receding nature of reading receding. It's impeding all of our, I don't know.
Oliver.
I didn't sleep very well last night. All right, let's get into it. Spoilers starting now. Oh, by the way, dlcfeedback@gmail.com if you'd like to send in a topic. But spoilers starting now for chapters 15 and 16 of The Crippled God.
Short, but packed. Yeah.
Chapter 15 is baller.
Awesome.
I mean, it's just... action scene, baby. We got our battle at the gates, basically battle at the wound that is this light wall, and we start with Yantovis. She's fighting. She's sad. Doesn't want to be fighting. She's kind of feeling this energy inside her that is stirring, and she finds this messenger, and she says, go tell Sandalath, go tell the queen that the wall has shattered and we're down by half. We've lost half our troops already. They haven't even sent in the real Tysliosan troops. I don't think that Tovis knows that yet. But she says, hey, Charles, go send this message. And Charles like, oh, now? Like, do I have to now?
She tries to be so kind because she's like, go send this message. And while you're back there, take a breather, rest. She's like trying to be this great and an empathetic leader. And then seeing Charles be like, ew, but like my brothers are here. I would really, do I have to go? I can go, but I'm not resting. Like I'm coming back. And
I mean, I'll do it. Like I'll send the message, but like I need to protect my brothers. And she's like, fine. Okay, fine. No, you're right. Don't do it. Just, it's cool. Just
I'll find somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of what Jan is feeling and thinking is sort of, it feels like pride of like, wow, these people are really fighting and they are really caring, and look at like how my brother has sort of rallied this group into this, but also the horror of like, this is what we do as leaders, is we just make people into people who will fight and die for what? For us, for what?
For what?
For
so we can do it again and again and again. Yeah. And she also has this really, I think, interesting observation that felt to me like the author, who is clearly someone interested in history and anthropology, speaking through her, where she talks about how, how do we even measure time? Is it just these stories? They'll tell stories of this, but they're not for us. We're all going to be dead. And then what this story goes on, and then is it even true? And it doesn't even matter. She says, what if that is the only true measure of time? All that only the dead have witnessed, all those stories forever lost. Is it any wonder we cannot grasp hold of ages past?
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful observation. She's basically saying like, all we know is the things in our tiny little orbit, and we can't even process these things that have happened long ago. And yet we're doing this so that someone could tell someone later that we did it. Like, and no one's even going to even understand what happened here. Yeah. I thought that was pretty powerful stuff.
I really do feel like some of the times where I feel like we get closest to Steven the man is when, the pontifications on history through the lens of whatever character it is. And I found it very delightful in this chapter.
And the frustration, it seems, I mean, that's my reading, is certainly the frustration around these patterns that emerge if you actually look at history, and the sort of refusal to learn from it, or the, not even refusal, but just the natural human tendency to not learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like you're not experiencing it right now. It's already forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Yantovis, I pulled this lengthy section because it's just so awesome. She watches her brother kill a dragon. Pretty badass.
So dope. The threat, of the last chapter where, Eden has pointed out how this fight's going to go, where he's like, they're sending through these whelps first. Eventually they're going to send through a dragon, and then that's when we can get him. That's when we can get him. And get him he does.
Get him he does. My favorite part of this is the Hust sword just being giddy about its chance to do what it was made to do. It
always goes by.
It's just like as he's like attacking. It's like just it's laughing and squealing at every time he swings at it. It's like it's like on an amusement park ride. Like I get to check out dragon. It's the notion. And then later we hear about this entire army of Husts equipped. Just the idea of just like this cackling laughter on the battlefield. It's so haunting and weird, but also amazing. It's incredible.
And especially because the sword is cackling. It's like gets when dragons are nearby. It's like, ooh, I know it's gonna happen. The way this one is presented, of like Jan like looking for her brother, like, where are you? And it's like, wow, there you are at the forefront of everybody. I can't believe the way you've rallied these people. Look at the way you're fighting. You're crazy. How many people have you killed? Dragon busts through what feels like chomps them in one.
Yeah.
But I'm picturing a real 90s Hercules inside slicing through the neck. Yeah. And then the description of like everybody's being sprayed with like dragon's blood, or they're just like, oh, this is crazy, what a badass, and they're like just drenched in this huge beast's blood spraying everywhere, and then cutting most way through the neck, and then it's sort of reeling up, and as it dies, it's like a similar motion, a mimicry of the initial like snap coming through, but it's just falling dead instead.
And that like creates these black crystals underneath it.
Yes.
That, like sprout up from where it died. And I think he describes it like butterflies around the it's so cool. Like, and the whole plan is to kill the dragon in the doorway. Like this big ass dragon dies in the doorway. Maybe that helps block the doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we, the Tisleosan are just like yanking it back, like, get out of the way, dead dragon. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
But then
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
I think we're going to say the same thing, but
I do too.
He does his part. He chops his head off, but then turns over to Yantovis and is like, huh? Imagine if you knelt. Imagine if you knelt to the
whole
shore.
Time he's just like, the kneeling could have prevented all of this. Just kneel. And
we would have been done now.
Her continued refusal to kneel. I hope we get some more insight into that, because, I mean, I sort of understand it on a certain level, but at a certain point, where it's like your people are dying anyway. Like, what's the pride here that's getting in the way? I feel like there is some deeper like refusal to what's that?
Like some sense, like, I mean, her sort of thought journey about the nature of history and blah, 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 blah. Like the history is that the Queen of the Sheikh kneels, and she's like, not me. So I feel like there's something there too, but it does feel like would the battle would be like over now if you had done that, because the power would have served. I don't exactly know what happens. Also, she kneels.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happens either, but I get the sense that it's not just stubbornness in her, that there is some higher purpose to her refusal to acquiesce to that, and I hope that it's paid off in some way, because I want there to be like a more noble reason to refuse that,
not just that I don't want to.
Yeah.
Maybe you should. Maybe you kneel. See how you like it.
Well, I mean, I understand her wanting to sort of break the cycle.
Yeah.
In some way, but I'm not convinced that is the thing, because the cycle is still happening. Is basically what I'm saying. Is like, you haven't broken the cycle. If that's the whole idea behind it. Anyway, Eden Derrick says, has this kind of moment where he's like, he screams out at the Sheikh. He's like, "You've come home!" And they all are like, "Yeah!" And Eden is like, dude, Jan Tovis is like, he doesn't even believe that. He is shocked that his rallying cry is effective, because he didn't even believe they had gotten home.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Yeah. It's hustle culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel like. If people around you are looking to you, you better act like you believe. Otherwise, everybody will become despondent. So like you
I guess,
gotta
But I think that
give it.
she has this insight that like, oh my gosh, you're like, he's risking his life for a cause he doesn't even believe in, basically, for her, Yeah.
Which
All right, so
which is
then,
interesting because like even he's like, you gotta kneel, but to me that's like a mirrored sense of like this, the reason why she wants to like break the cycle, why she doesn't want to do this. Her, it's more written more plainly because she's not doing the thing that people think she should be doing, whereas
Yeah.
Eden is doing the thing that people think he should be doing, but she can read him and see that he doesn't really believe what the reasons why.
Yeah. Then so in typical Erikson fashion, we hop over to the other side of the light wall and see what's going on the other side, which is equally as compelling, I think, and equally as conflicted and interesting. So we have Aperol, who is the one who has all these doubts from the Thais Leosin side, and is mad that the leader, Khadgar Fant, is just sending people to die over and over again and sort of bleeding, not even sending the best yet, just like sending what he describes as butchers and gardeners and bakers through, to just die to sort of bleed them off. And he's like, this is, horrible. It's disgusting that we're just, sacrificing our people, basically.
It's so interesting because it's like a mirror where they're both kind of doing that. The same on the Sheikh side, they are also holding their best in reserve and sending for the people who don't have the right training, who are just, this is like their first battle, as far as we can tell, people who are not the true soldiers. The soldiers are held in reserve, but the difference being the leadership is like unwilling. They're doing it sort of against their will, and the people are helping to drive the space, as we saw with Charles and Jan. Like the people are there being like, we got this. And on the other side, people are looking at him being like, why are you doing this? You could just push for the other people. And that the same kind of thing happening on both sides of the wound, but different sensibilities. Interesting.
Yeah, this notion that if you just sent the best troops out first, it's like shock and awe. We get it done. It's we end it quickly, and this just prolongs everything and makes it worse, and more people die, and it's so callous and unnecessarily cruel.
Mm-hmm.
But then he sort of has Aperol has this sort of flashback to when Calor, a name we haven't heard in a minute, strolled back into the throne room with Khadgar Fant's father on the throne, saying, "Hey, everybody, just want to let you know that my wife, your grandma, is dead."
Sorry for laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty dark. She took her own life, right? She took her own life, but Calor's like, no, I'm her murderer. Like, I created the circumstances. And this recalls, we know he'd been musing on this, 2 books ago, about this sort of guilt he has around her death and the fact that she took her own life. And he was, not giving her what she needed and blames himself for this. And so he basically comes in as like, grandma's dead. I did it. Throw my sword down. I'm at your mercy. Do your worst. And Serap, the king, basically, says, I'm not doing anything. Just leave.
Yeah. But the thing I thought was interesting about this scene, in my recollection, the way that Calor sort of talked about this, it was very hardened to it. Yeah. And that he's like, yeah, I did it. I'm not like happy about it, but it sort of was like in like sort of a nonchalant kind of way, being like, yeah, women have loved me. I'm like eternal. So what? Women are going to die. Was sort of felt like him shrugging it off. And in this scene, we clearly see how it actually felt in the moment, where their relationship clearly felt like so much more to him. Yeah. And even in this scene, he has that same kind of arrogance that we've seen from him, but it is depicted in the memory as like, oh, he is coming across with that arrogance and almost like a gleefulness because he thought this was the moment that he was going to be killed. because
Yeah.
he thought he deserved death, and then it was denied from him.
The smile of a man who wants to die.
Yeah.
He comes in smiling, but it's the smile of a man who wants to die. And there's this truly heartbreaking detail of the fact that she was found having committed suicide. She was found holding this little rag doll that she finished, that had been unfinished, that she was supposed to have given to her daughter when her daughter was young, but she finished it before, committing suicide. And that she found it in her lap, like cradling it like a newborn. And he brings that. It's like, oh, she wanted this. He throws it on the ground. It's such a heartbreaking image.
Mm-hmm.
And then he walks out and kind of says something, or they don't know if he says something. Aperol doesn't know. Nobody knows if he actually whispered something to the daughter on the way out. Just brutal scene. And then it's snaps back to the present, where Fanta's like, hey, what are you thinking about? He's like, nothing.
War.
Yeah.
This one particularly.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, so we know that someone killed a dragon with a Hust sword. So we got to get that Hust wielder dead. How are we going to do it? And he's like, okay, well, when all the others have fallen, he will be the last one standing. And then we will send 12 dragons at him.
Yeah. But
Sounds
even then,
badass.
he's like, it seems crazy. It's like, what would think there's one Hust wielder? He killed that dragon, one guy. I don't know. Maybe it's like a whole army of them. And like, no. It's definitely one guy. And he's like, maybe, which I think is nice.
So cool. And that develops over the course of this chapter, which I think is pretty rad.
Yes.
This sort of almost this bluff of what you're facing on this like blind fight of having to jump through the gate and you don't know what's on the other side. And the same in return on, the inverse of that. So cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the next scene we're with Sandalath. She is going through her own traumas and seeing ghosts in the castle. Is it a castle? In her throne room?
Temple?
Yeah. And she flashes back to when Animander Rake was dealing with this. Again, a cyclical event, the dealing with this rent, this wound, this gate, the lightfall, and the battle on the shore that happens every so often. And Animander Rake sent an entire army of Hust armored troops through there with Hust swords and Hust armor. And they were never heard from again, but none of the dragons came through ever. No one ever saw another dragon.
So
something happened on the other side of the gate. And we have seen in the previous novels this graveyard of dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like 2 and 2 is 4 on this one, whereas like that was the remnants of this Suicide Squad, basically this troop of Hust armored soldiers that were marching never to return, but went in to wipe out the dragon threat, at least.
Yeah.
Pretty epic. And the notion of, again, these sort of somber, we who are about to die salute you type, memento mori type dudes and dudette, these
folks,
people who are wielding these like cackling swords that are gleefully about to do what they were made to do. It's such a haunting juxtaposition, of the graveness of what their duty requires and the ridiculous clown weapons that they're it's this kind of subjugation, or not subjugation. What's the word I'm looking for?
Juxtaposition? No,
the undermining of that very common, I think, fantasy trope of the sword that was meant to do the thing. This is the sword this is Excalibur, right? This is the magic sword that was crafted for this one purpose, and here you have that 100% crafted, but it's almost like grotesque, in its
It's not the weight of gravitas and the seriousness of
Yes.
it. It's the gleefulness of the somber task that is like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that whole notion to be so cool and haunting and almost disquieting. The juxtaposition of their need, their
Duty.
knowing death, and
Mhm.
the sword just being like, wee. Oof. Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's Sandalath kind of thinking back on that, and she's like, what did what happened beyond the gate? What did Rake know? And then we jump over to Withal, who is somehow communicating with Mother Dark. And Mother Dark is like, hey, just BT dubs, your wife is going a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Just know she's kind of lost in the old times. She's seeing the old times. She's sort of tripping. And Withal's like, yeah.
You think I don't know that? I know
That's
that.
exactly appropriate to what is happening right now. She should be tripping.
Mhm.
This is nuts what's happening right here. This idea of her having been born a hostage, and Withal's like, so they kept her as a child, and Mother Dark is like, yeah, we would not let them grow up. They kept them as children forever in these like hostage rooms. It's so disturbing.
Yeah, it is. But there is like that, okay, we got to kind of do something to get Sandalath like at least mentally present. And Withal's like, I got this.
I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Look, I just wanted one.
It's like, honey, I love you, slap.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wallops her one to try to kind of knock her out of this, this spiral that
mania. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he says, everybody's going to die. We gotta get out of here. And, she's like, yeah, exactly. It goes on and on, back and forth. I just want to burn this all down. I don't want to do this cycle anymore. It's repeating itself. It happens. I just want to burn this whole place down.
Mm-hmm.
And Withal's like, well, there's nothing in here that'll burn. And she goes, there's more than one way to summon fire.
Interesting.
I think I know a certain creature that can make fire come out their mouths. Yeah.
What I think is interesting is Withal is such a curious character to me, because I feel like he's sort of like floating between things, but being very central still to certain parts of the story. But then he'll like have these thoughts that feel really noble. I'm really sorry. Noise just kicked up. I don't know if you can hear it. And of course it shuts my brain down immediately. Very central to the story. And he'll have like these noble thoughts, but then what he says is like, let's get out of here. And it's like, you're just going to abandon everybody? Like what? Like, it seems like straight, like his actual, like what he wants to do doesn't seem aligned with what his like heart or thoughts seem to say. It always comes down to like, let's you and I just go.
Yeah, I lost you a little bit.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think I got you back. Yes, I totally agree with that. He is an interesting guy, but he also is devoted to her, right? Their connection, I think, is never in question to me, and it's a beautiful way that, I mean, even with the slap, there is a beautiful sort of support that he gives to her in that moment. But yeah, I mean, really, this like foreboding that I have of her being like, I just want to destroy all of this. And you have all these people fighting basically to defend her. And she's like, no, screw this. Screw all of it. I'm going to burn it all down. It just feels, I worry that is a betrayal in the making, so we shall see.
Me too.
All right. So then we have this moment where, I mean, it ramps up even more, where Pithy is she's like, we got to do a better job. We got to let them know we're driving the loose and back. We got to, don't pick up the weapons. They're and all of a sudden the hounds jump through the wound, and now we have the Hounds of Light sent through. We've already seen how badass they are.
Yeah, just before we get to the Hounds of Light, she's having the conversation about with this person with the sled who's collecting the weapons. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thinking of the order of Rake sent through all the people with the husk swords. Oh, what are all these crappy weapons? Oh, they've been taking our weapons. Part of me is like, are they going to reveal that they have a secret husk sword army on the other side because they were collecting our swords? I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, we kind of see, I think, from the other side late in just a moment that's not really true, because they're scared that they still have husked swords.
I know, but the king guy is so aloof that it seems like maybe that
like what he's up to something. That's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so we see the hounds barrel through and just wreak havoc. An amazing moment where Yontovis tries to kill a hound. Pithy tries to kill a hound. That new character, Knife, who lost a hand, gets full on Jurassic Parked. It just goes shonk onto his head and bites him.
It's a multiple bite dismemberment of his head.
Ugh.
Awesome.
And then guess who, baby? Yontovis. Eden Derrick. Just takes down a hound, and then another, and it's just so awesome.
The scene and describing the combat of it, especially describing the challenge other people face with the weapons that they're wielding.
Yeah.
Trying to get we got to get the pikes because these dogs, we got to sort of keep them at arm's length and get them before they can get in close to us. But their weapons are bouncing off the leathery skin, the scars that they already have, bouncing off their bones. They're not even equipped to possibly try and handle this. Meanwhile, the old laughing blade coming through with a vengeance, baby.
But dude, that move where he leaps up, the head of the hound is biting down, and he leaps up. Just the most epic,
so
fantasy,
cinematic.
We're in anime territory. It's so over the top, twisting, slicing down on it, landing perfectly, rolling, jumping back up. Just the most, full-on Jedi, badass, amazing Eden Derrick, cool.
The action in this chapter is incredible. I feel it's been, we had the battle at the end of the previous book, but I feel like it's been a minute since we've had a scene like this where it's just competence on display. What a badass. It's great.
Amazing. So we have this moment where he's killing hounds, and then there's this kind of explosion that happens through the wound that Yontovis feels, and it's these bodies start flying everywhere, and then we cut to Aperol, who sees another soul-taken dragon reel back, and then her head is split open, and Aperol realizes, there's a husk sword slicing this, slicing literally, she sticks her head through, it gets sliced, she pulls back. So it's happening on the barrier, at the point of the barrier. So rad.
And the visuals of it, from both sides, I can picture it so clearly of being we can't really see through the barrier because it's so dark, and we're in this bright light, and then seeing that there's darkness, and then on the other side being we don't know what's coming through because it's so bright. The bloom is just out of control, and we're in this dark space. It is just the high contrast of it's so funny talking about the visuals of this. It's in my mind's eye. It's incredible. It's incredible.
And Eden is literally fighting a hound, and then steps into the light fall to chase it. And then so rad, the notion, because you think it's this portal, this Stargate, this immediate, from one place to another. But he steps in, and it's got depth, it's got volume inside the light fall, and he's worried he's going to get lost inside there. because you lose this, your orientation and your sense of direction inside this blinding white light room, and still fighting the hound, cuts off his head, tosses it back the way it came through, and then we cut to the Leosin who see this skidding hound head come through, and they're like, oh, there's a whole army of Hust people in there. If that's not one dude, that is a whole group of. We are so screwed right now.
You think one guy cut the dragon in half and then killed that hound? All the hounds. Where's the rest of the hounds? They're not coming back. Yeah, it's
not one. That wasn't one guy. They got all the Husts. All the Husts are back there. Incredible, and that he knows that's going to be a deterrent when he cuts off the head. He's like, suck on that. He just tosses it back through, and it just like skids to a stop.
I love it. And it's also
epic.
Like we're not really seeing in like his thought process through it. He's not like, this is the choice that I'll make to do this for the deterrent. It's just him kind of methodically doing the things that need to be done, which I think just makes it more epic that he's doing them. Even with like the sword or the dog's head that he cuts off, they were able to kill the other hounds of light. But then he's like, oh, there's one more, but we can't let it get back there. They'll like heal it up, like whatever it is. So he like, even the reason that he chases it in there is like awesome. It's just awesome. What a
incredible
badass.
Yeah, what a badass. Anyway, and then we cut back to this really heartbreaking scene where we're in Brevity's POV, and she sees Pithy die. She calls for a healer. It's too late. Pithy dies and has these absolutely poignant last words. I'm a soldier, not a thief, not a criminal, a soldier. It's true at last. I was a soldier.
We're also missing like a huge plot point in here is that Jan Tovis got really critically injured, I think, by the dog. And so there's like an honor guard that all goes over to defend her. Mm-hmm. And they die defending Jan Tovis. Right. And Jan Tovis also is like, as she's trying to fight, she's like, why am I so tired? The witches were like using her blood. I think she was like already tired, but then she got injured. And then the witches were like the queen's blood. And we know the witches were like running around the battlefield, like stabbing people in the heart, using their blood, using their life force. And so using her energy as she was already dying again on the battlefield. And we saw them, almost knock her down dead, even just getting here. They sort of up to their old shenanigans to try and ostensibly trying to help with this combat. And they are, but at the expense of Jan, who almost dies again. And then the witches are described later as like looking like infants, like looking
10-year-olds.
10-year-olds.
Yeah. Yes, it's so gross that they even in that moment are like, let's just drink her blood. It'll make us younger. It's just so creepy. All right, so then Eden comes out of the Lightfall and is like, who's lived, who is dead. Hears that Pithy has died, and he goes over to Brevity and. He says, or he wants to go over to Brevity, and he's like, if everybody wasn't looking at me, I would walk over to Brevity and give her a big hug, take her in my arms, share her grief. But I can't because everybody's looking at me for strength, and I can't even, reveal that feeling to them.
Yeah, and he's very touched by Pithy specifically because she was the one who came up to him before and being like, well, we're not fighting because we're soldiers. We're fighting because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like her words are sort of like ringing in his mind. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have been a massive driving force for him in this battle that he doesn't necessarily believe in.
And, he stands beside Brevity and watches as a soldier lifts Pithy's body gently. And he says, it's no easy thing to earn that. Yeah. So Pithy kind of gets this honorable feeling among her compatriots.
Yeah.
So back to the other side, and Aperol watches all the elites getting ready to go through, and it's like, we haven't even sent our elites in. And he's like, this is terrible. This is we only fight from being coerced. And
Isn't
He
this?
says,
Oh, go
our
ahead.
Lord shall lead us, our Lord, our very own rag doll. Just, hearkening back to that flashback.
Yeah, but I think it's somewhere in here that he's also sort of, excuse me, thinking about what I assume was like from other books. This king, what victory looks like for him is not. It sort of talks about the
Yeah.
political dynamics of their society over there, with one of the things being like, oh, part of victory, it's not about whether or not we win and we feel like really strong. Like, if the enemy cuts down his enemies over here too, if everybody died and he were alone on that throne with nobody to oppose him, he would still call it a victory.
Yeah.
And knowing that that's like where they're being led from is this king who's only looking out for himself, and
yeah,
that's it. Is interesting. So the very own ragdoll is being like this. The connection to, like, harkening back to the ragdoll thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite understand that, because he's sort of painted as like a villain, but the ragdoll seems like a sweet sentiment.
Oh, that's true. That's interesting. I interpret it as, our ragdoll, our, this ineffectual, this lump that, we just rests there and doesn't do anything, won't lift a finger to help us. Our very own,
just thrown at the feet of the enemy,
exactly,
and hoping something happens.
Yeah. He's a real jerko.
Yeah.
Fant. Yeah. And Aperol is like, you want Aperol to like do something about it, but he's just like observing it.
He just wants to have a spritz.
Yeah. So anyway, then Jan Tovis, wakes up to Charles, and Charles like, yeah, hey, I'm here back with you. Yeah, my brother's dead, so no more worries about me being distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And I failed to take care of him. That's the only thing I needed to do my whole life. So anyway, what can I do for you? And
any messages I can run?
Yeah. And Tim was like, hey, go tell those bitches, not witches, that if they use my blood again, I'm going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, they look like 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm going to go and beg forgiveness at Sandalath. Oh, neither of us can be the queen. None of us, we should just cast it off, not rule any of this. But she's like, I know my brother will not stop fighting. So I guess we're all going to die.
I guess choices have been made. There's nothing else we could do. Let's not think deeper about it.
Yeah. And then she lifts up the sort of bone shards that make up the sand of the shore. And she's like, this is it. This is our entire history right here. Just bones on the shore doing the same thing.
Ground to dust.
Over and over and over again. No one remembers it. We keep doing it over and over again, dying in the same spot. It's very bleak.
Yes.
But cool.
Yeah.
An awesome chapter, I thought. Just so much great action, and even Derek being a badass. Just really cool chapter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, chapter 16. We start off with our group of elder goofballs, the elder gods, the knuckleheads, Erastus, Setchelath, Kilmandaros. I think there's a section in here that I pulled. They're talking about. This is so interesting to me because, in retrospect, this scene where they're talking about their plans, Erastus later on, we find out, kind of pulled a fast one on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprised me that Setchelath and Kilmandaros didn't sniff any of this out, because they're down to release the Ototral dragon. They're down to do it.
Well, my thought that we'll get to is that Kilmandaros seemed to be in for it, and Setchelath is the only one who is actually pulled the fast one on.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about what they expect to happen, and they're it's going to wound Cruel, and that they're worried that Carabas, this Ototral dragon, is going to return, and everybody's going to have to deal with it. And Kilmandaros is like, well, do you think Draconis is going to come and kill me? And the rest is like, Oh no. Draconis has totally forgotten about you.
Everybody gonna think about that dragon, and everything else is fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. They're going to be so preoccupied with this crazy Atatro dragon that we're about to free, which is totally a good idea, and definitely you won't regret immediately after we do it. That you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And they talk about how people have tried to kill Carabbas, and that even just chaining her took centuries for Rake to plan and execute. And Kimodaris is like, yeah, well, Rake wasn't alone, which is interesting. And then Rast is like, yeah, well, Rake's dead. And then Kimodaris is like, punch! Don't you talk bad about Animander Rake. Nobody gets to talk bad of Animander Rake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty funny. Like, even as Erastus is like, the errant is executing his final plan, he still gets punched in the face.
I also love like how that punch is portrayed, where Erastus is being like a little, spiteful weasel guy.
Yeah.
And like he always described as him like messing with his hole in his face, like digging around at like his cavity, like a little disgustoid. And then it's from such a Lath's perspective that he's like, he saw the movement in the corner of his eyes, and in my brain, Kimodaris is like eking over there and just like like 1 inch punching him was where my brain was at for where that
just exits stage right. Just completely out of frame immediately. Yeah,
it's so good.
Very funny. All right, and then we have this really fascinating scene where Silchus Ruin meets up with Tulas Shorn, and we find out we have a total Han Solo, Lando Calrissian meeting.
Oh, big buddy energy.
So great. Where they're like, you mother effer. No, you scurvy dog.
Remember
you ugly so-and-so. I should have killed you. And then they hug it out.
Yeah.
It's so great. So
remember when we were with those women and they all said you had like the eyes of rats and none of them could look at you? Yeah, I remember that too. What a great night, buddy!
Hey, it was the best. High five, good to see you, pal. Yeah. So great. And then it's so awesome because they're like, oh man, I haven't seen you since we were on the opposite sides of that war and we were trying to kill each other. And he's like, I know. I totally died. And I have no memory of it. Did you kill me?
Hey.
Yeah, be honest. Did you kill me? You killed me, right? Say you killed me. No, bro, I didn't kill you. In fact, I was looking for you afterwards. It totally wasn't me.
With Rake, who very authentically was searching too.
Such a great scene. He's like, I bet you killed me, didn't you? You did. Yeah. Admit it. Nope, bro.
I promise. I swear to God, I remember everybody I kill. I also love that Silchus is like had his 2 previous weapons that were like those singing swords, and he's replaced it with another blade, where him describing the other swords and being like, they're pretty good, pretty annoying sometimes, but pretty good. And now he still has one that's like like waiting in his little scabbard for the other link he's hanging with. A delightful scene, but also getting some interesting history of like what happened to Tulas, and like interesting to sort of see personality in Silchus a little, like
totally, yeah,
like depth of personality, where it's like stuff that is there, especially because when was it Olar came and was like, well, your brother's dead and he never loved you, or whatever he said that made him sort of collapse before. Seeing him think so fondly of his brother, and like even joking with Tulas, being like, there's a secret that Rake kept from me, his brother. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like, I'm just kidding, man. He kept so many secrets from me. I'm his brother.
Yeah. But so there is this hanging question of what this massive secret is, because it is dangled out there as a big deal of like, he didn't tell anyone like there's something, he was working on this for so long, and this secret he kept from every single person, and I can't believe he pulled it off. He really pulled it off. And I'm like, I don't think this is the hood thing. I think this is a new thing that we don't know about yet.
I think so too. And like just like the lacing from like hearing Rake's name come up and like Rake's name is kind of like everywhere behind everybody's conversations in a way that I feel like is gonna
totally
bring it all together.
There's something else. There's some other twist that Rake planned that we don't know about yet. That's going to come into play.
A dragon related thing.
I cannot wait to find out. But I also love. Oh, go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I love how he's like, so, dude, you've like resisted the curse of the Alent blood. How's that going? He's like, oh yeah, totally. Me too. Yeah, it's great.
I'm always sembled. I barely go into dragon form, and I'm resisting.
He's like, but you've like hung out with that other dude. He's like, yeah, I know. And I got this sword that likes killing dragons, and I am one. How crazy is that? And he's like, yeah, well, what about that? What about Rude Alel is he's, it seems like, has he been able to resist the thing? He's like, yeah, I warned him real hard not to hang out with anybody else. And he's like, where did you even get that sword? He's like, well, I got it from the shadow. He's like, oh, you mean Edgewalker? He's like, no. Not Edgewalker. Like, okay, so that's interesting. Something about that is interesting.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I got it from this other guy, Shadow Throne. He's like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy.
Isn't it like twice that he keeps saying he says Shadow and he is Edgewalker. No. Shadow. Edgewalker? No. The Shadow Throne. He's like really up in himself. Shadow Throne. There's no throne. Maybe, but he's like really full of himself.
He says he's pompous. He's like, well, he's not as pompous as you think.
Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting.
Mm-hmm. And even just that, like them Tulas reading Edgewalker at Shadow Throne is like, why so quick? So to assume that was what he was thinking, and that's not what he was talking about. It's just very interesting.
My other favorite part of the scene is that he's like, all the elder gods are up to something. Erastus, all of them, they're up to something. And he's like, they like rigging the game. And then Silchus is like, yeah, they like to cheat, but nobody cheats like humans.
Yeah.
They don't realize how they're trying to cheat the cheaters. And guess what? Humans cheat better than anybody.
I love that, especially because the elder gods and like even what the errant is saying is like our children are the ones who like made these deals with humans to like help them and stuff, and I just want to go back to a time where we could just do what the hell ever and nobody say anything to us, and I could just have my powers, I would eat my cake and eat it too, blah blah blah. Yeah. And so they are like one step removal from having to interact with humans, leaving them probably at a disadvantage when it comes to how conniving and teed up to be, evil as a good power. Sort of how it feels the human narrative is being presented through these scenes.
It feels to me like this is a tip, a little foreshadowing of Tavor, right? Like she's gonna find a way to pull the rug from under even the elder gods, because humans cheat. I just so good. All right, so then we have a scene between Rude Alel and Udnas, who managed to have magical communication, cast ascending, I guess. And Rude is like, "Hey, Dad, where are you?" He's like, "I'm at Serenpedak's house." He's like, "Oh man, Sil just told me that's where you'd be."
He totally called it. Dude. He like knows you.
He's got you pegged, bud. And he's like, "Yeah, all the Talana Moss are hiding in the forest north of us, and that seems a little worrisome." And Rude's like, "Yeah, guess what? Kalava lied to you. She's not even gonna protect the gate." And he's like, "I knew it. I knew she was gonna do that. She wanted to do that the whole time." And they're like, yeah, and Kettle's death isn't, somehow the Azath house was weakened, which is weird because it should have been strong. The Finnist was strong. but something changed that pushed the Telonomos back into the world of the living.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which we like. We didn't like know exactly in those terms, but the fact,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole act of Silchus stabbing Kettle and therefore activating the Azoth seed within her was doing that. That like the act of that like solidified them as like real Talon, whatever.
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So he says, don't go after Kalava. Onrak still loves her. So Red's like, okay, well, I'm glad you're safe at Saren's house.
But he's also like, Saren Pedek's kid is super important. And rather than necessarily like, you should work with the Telonomos to make sure that they are set up to protect the child.
Right. And Noon's like, okay. So then we cut over to Torrent, who's with the kids, Stavi and Tori and Absi. And Stavi and Tori are kind of on the ball. They're reading the tea leaves. They get what's going on, and they're like, "Hey, you know that Olarathil is gonna just murder us, right? All she cares about is Absi. All she wants is to present Absi to Onas and say, here's your son. She doesn't care about us." And Torrent's like, guys, no.
She'll use you as like a bargaining, like you're all a bargaining chip. And they're like, yeah, but we're a bargaining chip, and that she'll like slit our throats to prove that she will slit Absi's throat. So that's not like the kind of chip I'm looking to be.
Totally. And Torrent's like, ooh, they really
he's like,
they're really not. I can't even lie to them. They got it figured out. I mean, that's awkward.
Well, I love it described as her being like, that's not true, Torrent, as like a kid with the eyes of definitely not a child.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They've been through some stuff for sure. Then, lo and behold, guess who shows up in a dream?
Well, is it a dream? Torrent gets like a little grumpo where he's like puts the one, blanket that they have over the girls and is like, I'm going to take a walk. And Olar's like, it's actually a warren and you could get lost, idiot. And he's like, I'm not going to go far, idiot. And then turns around and immediately he's like, oh, I'm lost.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think it's an actual dream for Torrent. I think it is, Krupp's dream power that we've seen him use before, where he can visit people sort of in a dream state. And it's just so awesome to see Krupp again. I hope this isn't the last time we've seen him in this novel.
Red waistcoat. I was like, my boy.
Yeah. So good. And he's like, hey, how are my kids? And he's like, your kids? He's like, yeah, long story, but my seed is super powerful.
And he was, long story. And I remember such pleasure and such fear of Hatan. Anyway, eat the food. We have so little time. Do you want this food? Here's a bow and arrow. Do you like it? It's better than yours. And he's like, well, let me describe the ways in which my bow and arrow is truly messed up right now and basically non-functional. And he's like, great. Yeah. Did I say limited time? You could have just said, that sounds worse than this one. Take it. Okay. I gotta go. Bye.
So cool to have a little Krupp moment. Then we check back in with Tool, Onas Tulan.
Well, just before that, I love that Torrent like turns around and Olar is like, change your mind, idiot. And he's like, shut up. Yes. And like sits down, but like looks over at the kids, and in their sleep, he can see one sort of like being like, but like licking their lips. And so like the idea that Krupp's visiting the kids in their dreams and gave them food in the dream world. So lovely.
So cute. He gave his kids little sweet cakes.
Yeah.
All right. So Tool is having a continued existential crisis. And, these Telonomos are sort of assembling behind him. But he doesn't really even understand why that's happening. And he just wants to destroy everything. He says, when I'm done, dust shall be dust, nothing more. But then Reistal and Ulag are like, hey, bro, guess what? We don't have to do what you say. And he's like, wait, what? How can you defy me?
I love that he's like, anyway. And they're like, you want to walk alone? He's like, I would love to be alone. And they all just turn into dust. So they're definitely there, but definitely in dust mode. Except for those two are like, what up, dog?
Yeah.
Breaking the solitude.
Yeah, he's like, hey, hey, we don't have to do what you say. We can do whatever we want. And he's like, but that's impossible because my will is so strong. He's like, guess what? We found a flaw in your will, and guess what we call it? We call it love. You got love in your heart. And he's like, what? No. Go find her memory and destroy it.
Well, they're like, we got love, and because of that, we're not like blinded by your will. So we are here to tell you that you are even blinded by your will. You can't sense that there's like something ahead. We could scout for you. We could make sure that we're seeing things that you're not picking up on. He's like, prove it, kind of, and says, go find those things and destroy it. And they're like, man, he can't see nothing over it.
He doesn't even know that he has summoned thousands of Talana Moss to his side. Then we pop over to Gruntle, who's just still running.
Meow.
And he has managed to reach the gate to Starval Demolane. And Kalava is there.
Yeah.
And she's like,
this is Kettle's Azath zone.
That's right. And she's like, whoa, you're not supposed to be here, dude. What's wrong? Tell your God that I'm not going to allow you to interfere. And he's like, no. You don't understand. My God is dead. She's like, no, you don't understand. Your God can't die. That's the whole point of him being a God, is that he was a first hero and the first mortal. And so the whole point was to escape death. That's the whole deal with being ascended.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's got you to be his sort of mortal sword, his mortal, manifestation on the mortal realm. And he's like, well, guess what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be a warrior. I'm not going to be a soldier. I've never been a soldier. I'm not going to be a
soldier.
Yeah. I didn't come here to just murder people. I did that once. I made a whole building of murder and I didn't like it. Didn't feel good.
And he's like, I like that. He's like, besides you told me to come here. And she's like, no, I didn't. I warned you.
What are all those dreams? She's like, those were warnings to not come here.
You don't remember the blood and bones in my mouth in the dreams? That's aside bad. You thought that was an invitation? Boy.
Man.
But another of that theme of like, we're not standing for it. We're not standing for it. We're not standing for it. That I like.
Well, he has this awesome little speech where he says, this is what we always hear from the leaders, from the generals, the warlords, the tyrants, justifying another nightmare epoch of slaughter. Oh, so good. And he's like, I'm not going to do it. I despise war. I'm not going to be. And she's like, well, then guess what? We're going to have to fight right now. You don't want to fight? Well, I'm going to fight you. And he's like, all right, let's do this. Let's do it. And they start fighting. We cut away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see her symbol cut on action. Pretty
so
cool.
Sick. And then we cut over to a sad little Mappo, who's made it to Icarium's city of Icarius.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really heartbreaking scene. Continues to be. Mappo is just such a sad character to me. And he basically comes to this conclusion that he is going to have to convince Icarium to kill himself because someone or some entity wants to use Icarium as a weapon, and he can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, and him being like, him sort of talking about their friendship and being like, oh, if I were to ever give you your memories, you would just kill yourself because of all these horrible things that you've done. That's like so sad. I'm sure that you would. Yeah. But the thing about being my friend is I could also tell you that you did all these horrible things and I could convince you that that was the right thing for you to do. Is dark.
And he's like, and then what'll I do? What'll I do without my friend? Well, I'll bury him and I'll just be sad forever.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll have been the right thing to do. And then, he's like, feels so much guilt about abandoning the kids, which I love that, Erikson never allows these things to just happen and not have repercussions. I love that.
And the fact that he's even thinking about all like sort of his what he perceives, not, I wouldn't call it like his plan, but like what he feels like is an inevitable course of action that he has to take, thinking about it in this city of memories.
Yeah.
I wonder if that will have an interesting repercussion later down the line.
And he basically kind of sees visions of the snake, right? Badal and Sadik and the children who were there briefly. He sort of sees their ghosts, the memory of them being there. And then they sort of have this magical ability to kind of communicate to him. And there's this amazing moment where, Badal is kind of giving him the business and then turns and is like, I could say more, but I think he's heard enough. Like, understands that she's crushed his spirit.
It's
incredible.
This scene, I think, is so interesting and well written. And again, I can picture it being so cinematic of Mappo sort of looking in the facets of these crystals and seeing them as memories, and then being like, "Oh, they're not talking to me about abandoning kids. These are kids that were. I'm just seeing their memories."
Yeah.
And then
this is the kid that saved me. That one kid.
Yeah,
who
this
saved
is
me.
this Badal is the one who had the voices, who made that banishment sort of chant. Interesting. And he like has like a bit of a it's just a house of mirrors kind of moment. Yeah. And then in the lull, Badal and I don't know if she's talking
Sadik.
to she is talking to Sadik.
Yeah.
But it's sort of a reflection of a conversation that we don't actually see, but we know has happened, of like Sadik collecting a bunch of random stuff from here and her being like, you got to drop that bag. It'll kill you.
Right.
But Mappo has also been thinking about like, if Akarium came here, he would get all his memories back. And now I'm wondering if Sadik had like taking these critical pieces from this place with him. If you bring that to Akarium, does Akarium still gain his memories back? I'm wondering if there's like something there about him having these pieces of this critical, Akarium's memories, Fortress of Solitude kind of space. Will that awaken him in some way? And what does that mean?
Well, Badal straight up tells him that he can't save Ikarium. She says, "Ogre, I can't save you, and you can't save him, not from himself.
Yeah.
He is your held, but every child wakes up."
Yeah.
It's so cool. And then she poems him hard.
Oh, she poems the hell out of him.
She poems him so hard. And he runs away. So then we have this amazing scene to end the chapter with the three elder gods. I think this is the sequence that I pulled, where they talk about what will happen and what they'll wait for. I'll read this in a second. But basically, in the middle of the conversation, the Totoro dragon conjures a massive storm with its wings, like arrives.
Yeah.
And they all sort of immediately realize what they've done, which feels like, oh, did you guys not see this coming? And the Aaron is like, yeah, I did it. You suckers went with me and you let the dragon go. And now guess what? It's the eye of abnegation. This is the eye of the storm. We've unleashed this storm. And what's going to happen here is, oh, by the way, Otatarol isn't a thing. It's a title.
Mm.
Meow, 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 meow. Awesome. And all the other dragons, because it is literally going to negate magic and all the magic, the basic foundation of what magic is, it's going to just undo that to kill it dead. So all the other dragons, all the Elent, are going to have to fight this thing, but they're not going to be able to fight it with magic.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to just use claws and fangs to try to kill it. And that's going to, there so many of them are going to be pulled into this fight that it's literally going to draw the big bad dragon, Tiam, to this situation as well. And what Erastus wants to happen is literally magic is obliterated. Nobody can have any power to defy the gods, and that all the lesser gods will be consumed. There'll be the elder gods back. All that they'll have is the ability to be worshipped and to be relied upon. They're the only sort of supernatural power
But because of
left in play.
the severing of this, they are not even able to then affect humanity. They can only be worshipped and with no obligation to then
that too.
have anything paid back.
So good.
So good. They're like watching the dragon. They're like, I've lost sight of it. And these crazy storms, like double mushroom clouds coming from like the wings fanning up and sort of exploding out from this waking space. Like, well, you can follow it because everywhere under it as it goes is like the color is sucked from it because it's killing everything in its path. It's like total abrogation.
Incredible. And the also this cool part where they're like, well, what about the crippled God? He's like, this makes all of that irrelevant. I am just superseding that entire notion. It just will the crippled God is just another of the new gods that's going to be powerless. It's going to be, and so as Erikson is so good to do, he like establishes this incredible solution, with Tavor and the Forkle Sail and needing to all these armies trying to cross the Crystal Desert and this amazing quest. And meanwhile, these other guys are like, guess what? Don't matter. There's
a bigger, worser thing happening that it just negates everything, literally. The other pieces I thought were interesting about this, Sichel Lath putting it together, being like, oh, you're doing all this because you're jealous of Gnu's. You're like envious of the master of the deck, where like dragons have been sort of aspects of these warrens, aspects of this magic, and you just are like, you're jealous, dog. That's like why we're doing this, is you just want that power back. You're so lame, man, that sort of is your motivation here. But then when they also talk about the crippled God being chained up, like none of that matters. But he turns and looks at Kilmandaros and is like, to me, there was like a little cut off sentence here that I feel like is swirling around, like some connections to the Animander Rake secret, where it's like, it took so long to chain this dragon because we couldn't kill it. And in chaining it, it added laws to magic in that these things had to be these warrens, blah, 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 blah. And you want to like break that forever. And then him being like, but the crippled God was chained in it, sort of like the thought was cut off, that I almost feel like is a double. And like, it doesn't matter anymore because this huge dragon is out and that's going to be the focal point of everything. But we do also know that Akarium has these new warrants. Are they warrants? Are they holds? What does that matter? Does elder magic and the newest magic, would both of those things be different spaces? Like, how does that relate to this? And the chaining of the crippled God mirroring the chaining of this other dragon. There's like just a few unfinished thoughts swirling around the middle of this conversation that I thought were very interesting.
Yeah.
And that is where I feel like he looked at his mom and was like, did you understand that this is what was happening? And she was like, I was just tired. I was tired of it all. And he's like, tired of it? Like, what? Tired of what? And then, the denouement of the scene, she's like, sorry, but also, are you going to like hang out with me while Draconis probably comes and kills me? He's like, no. Why?
This refrain of, it was only a plan. It's only a plan.
Yeah.
It's like, well, but that doesn't help. The plan is happening.
Yeah. You got a plan and then you plan the plan's going to change.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Really cool. The promise of this dragon on dragon action fighting the Atotral dragon sounds crazy. I hope we get to see that. This lingering question about Animander's secret. Akarium, how is Akarium going to play into all this? There's just so much. Again, 10 novels in, I just don't know where we're headed exactly. I'm so excited, crazy halfway through this book, and it's just like there's so much building. Yeah. And what's Tavor's deal? Like, what's her? She's got some thing under her hat too. Good stuff. All right,
good stuff. But good.
I have two sections that I pulled. Both of them are kind of lengthy, but I'll read them fast.
I have I think 3-ish short ones.
All right, why don't you start?
Okay, I shall. This first one is it's the epigraph of chapter 15.
Oh, nice. Epigraph, yeah.
And all the ages past have nothing to say. They rest easy underfoot, uttering not a whisper. They are dead as the eyes that looked upon them, riding in the dust that gathers, in lost and forgotten corners. You won't find them scratched in scrolls, or between the bindings of leather-bound tomes, not once carved on stele and stone walls. They do not hide, waiting to be found, like treasures of truth or holy revelation. Not one of the ages past will descend from the heavens, cupped in the hand of a god or clutched tight by a stumbling prophet. All these ages past remain forever untouched, with lessons unlearned by the fool who can do nothing but stare ahead to where stands the future, grinning with empty eyes.
I mean, that so speaks to all that shake stuff and the cyclical nature of the horrors, you know.
Yeah,
Just like we
nobody's
can't do it.
learning. Nobody's learning.
Nobody's
Yeah.
learning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, mine's a little more just pulpy fun. I just, sometimes I love pulling quotes because they resonate. Other times, just because this is wicked fun. And here's this one.
Hell yeah.
The dragon's head was lifting in a spray of blood-soaked sand, the neck arching, the jaws stretching wide once more. And then, as if from nowhere, Eden Derrig was directly beneath that enormous serpent head and was swinging his laughing sword. And that glee rose to a shriek of delight as the blade's edge chopped deep into the dragon's neck. He was a man slashing into the bole of a centuries-old tree. The impact should have shattered the bones of his arms. The sword should have rebounded or exploded in his hands, spraying deadly shards. Yet she saw the weapon tear through that enormous armored neck. She saw the blood and gore erupt in its wake, and then a fountain of blood spraying into the air. The dragon, its shoulders jammed in the breach, shook with the blow. The long neck whipped upward, seeking to pull away, and in the welling gape of the wound in its throat, Yontovis saw the gleam of bone. Yeden had cut through to the dragon's spine. Another gloating shriek announced his backswing. The dragon's head and an arm's length of the neck jumped away then, off to one side, and the yawning jaws pitched nose down and hammered the strand as if mocking that first lunge. The head tilted and then fell with a trembling thump, the eyes staring sightlessly. The headless neck thrashed upward like a giant blind worm, spitting blood in lashing gouts, and on all sides of the quivering, decapitated beast, black crystals pushed up from the drenched sand, drawing together, rising to form faceted walls, and from every corpse that had been splashed or buried in the deluge, ghostly forms now rose, struggling within that crystal. Mouths opened in silent screams. Dodging the falling head, Eden simply advanced upon the trembling body, filling the breach. Using both hands, he drove the husked sword point first deep into the beast's chest. The dragon exploded out from the wound, scales and shattered bone. Yet even as Eden staggered beneath the flood of gore, the blood washed from him as would rain upon oil. Hust, killer of dragons, you will shield your wielder to keep your joy alive. Hust, your terrible laughter reveals the madness of your maker.
Ooh, baby. Woo! I'm so glad that you pulled that. It's that because that is like so much of the joy in reading those chapters is that combat. Just so amazing.
It's like the sword is so badass it won't even let the dragon blood touch you. It's
so badass and it's waterproof. Wow.
Yeah, cleans in a flash.
Great scene.
Yeah,
great
so good.
scene. Well read. I have one from I think a bit right before that, I think, of Jan sort of looking down at her brother in the fray. Brother, are you down there? I cannot see you. Do you stand triumphant once more? I cannot see you. All I can see is what you did. Yesterday, 1,000 years ago, in the breath just past, when there are none but ghosts left upon the shore, they will sing your praises. They will make of you a legend that none living will ever hear. Gods, the span of time itself must be crowded with such legends, forever lost yet whispered eternally on the winds. What if that is the only true measure of time? All that only the dead have witnessed, all that only they can speak of, though no mortal life will ever hear them, all those stories forever lost. Is it any wonder we cannot grasp hold of the ages past? That all we can manage is what clings to our own lives and what waits within reach? To all the rest, we are cursed to deafness.
Yeah. Boy, that resonates.
Mm-hmm.
So good. All right, this is my last one. It's this is the errant and the other elder gods. The errant says, "Do you now mock my wound? No, forgive me. I was thinking of the poet who one day decided he'd seen too much." Behind them, Kilimandaris asked, "And did his self-mutilation change the world?" "Irrevocably, mother." "How so?" she asked. "Eyes can be as hard as armor. They can be hardened to see yet feel nothing, if the will is strong enough. You've seen such eyes, mother. You as well, Erastus. They lie flat in the sockets like stone walls. They are capable of witnessing any and every atrocity. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Now that poet, he removed those stones, tore away the veil permanently. What was inside, well, it all poured out. But being blinded, nothing that was outside could find a way in. Indeed, mother. But by then, it was too late. It had to be, if you think about it. So it poured out, grumbled Erastus. Then what? I'd hazard it changed the world. Not for the better, Kilmandaros muttered. I have no burning need, Erastus, said Secheleth, to cure the ills of the world this way, this one or any other. Yet you observe critically. If all honest observation ends up sounding critical, it is the honesty you then reject. Sorry, is it the honesty you then reject, or the act of observation? I screwed up the best line in the whole thing. If all honest observation ends up sounding critical, is it the honesty you then reject, or the act of observation? Why not both? Indeed, why not both? Abyss knows it's easier that way. Why do you bother then? Erastus, I am left with two choices. I could weep for a reason, or weep for no reason. In the latter, we find madness. And is the former any different? Kilmandaros asked. Yes. A part of me chooses to believe that if I weep long enough, I'll weep myself out. And then, in the ashes, in the aftermath, will be born something else. Like what? Erastus demanded. Secheleth shrugged. Hope.
My other quote was nestled in the middle of y'all.
Oh, sorry.
That. No,
probably the line I screwed up.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right, halfway through the novel.
Whew.
We're in it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Folks,
More
please don't forget
chapters?
to send us topics for the beginning of the show at dlcfeedback@gmail.com. We love getting those from you. And yes, I think you were saying 2 chapters next week, right? Still?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I agree. Okay. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for reading. Don't forget to
When
dance.
the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends. wild.